He said he was dying, and everyone believed him without hesitation or even asking a single question. And I stood outside the VIP room door, watching him laugh and raise his glass like nothing. They said he didn't want to drag me down, said he was noble, said he was a good man. But I was right there, close enough to hear everything, close enough to see the truth unfold. My name is Emily Shaw, the ex he let go, the one he claimed he spared. Also the source of every dollar sitting quietly inside his account, funding his new life. What they didn't know was 3 weeks earlier, I had already been diagnosed with cancer. The doctor told me I had maybe 3 months left, if everything went exactly as expected. He came to the hospital that day, sat beside my bed, staring down at the floor. "I can't do this, Emily." "I'm not strong enough," he said, voice carefully controlled. He told me he was sick too, said he didn't want to burden me anymore. He said leaving me was the kindest thing he could do, like he was doing me a favor. He spoke slowly, almost like reading from a script he had rehearsed multiple times before. I nodded, reached for my card, and placed it into his waiting hand without hesitation. "Take it," I said quietly, not asking questions, not needing explanations anymore. He said he didn't need it, but his hand had already reached out to take it anyway. Later, everyone heard his version of the story, the one he carefully curated for sympathy. They said he was struggling, said he didn't abandon me, said he handled it like an adult. I didn't correct them, didn't argue, didn't explain anything to anyone who asked. Instead, I started working night shifts at a bar where everything was paid in cash. The first night, I carried a tray when someone deliberately bumped into me from behind. The drinks spilled across my shirt, soaking through while people laughed without apology. The manager looked at me once and said, "Keep moving," like nothing had happened. I nodded, swallowed it down, and kept walking like I was supposed to. The restroom lights were half broken, flickering weakly against stained tile and cracked mirrors. I leaned against the wall and threw up, tasting iron in the water when I rinsed. I washed my face, dried it with paper towels, then walked back out like nothing broke. The second week, I sent him a message. "I got paid today, just to see." A few minutes later, he replied with a single word, "Nice," no punctuation, no emotion. It felt like texting a stranger who didn't even remember who I used to be. The third time, I called him directly, needing to hear something real in his voice. He said he was at the hospital for a checkup, speaking softly like he always did. But behind him, I heard laughter, loud music, the kind that didn't belong in hospitals. I didn't question it, didn't push, didn't ask anything else after that moment. That same night, the manager told me to deliver champagne to a VIP room upstairs. The door wasn't fully closed, so I pushed it open just enough to see inside. He was sitting in the center, wearing a new suit, his watch catching the light perfectly. Someone nearby was filming, and voices filled the room with careless amusement and noise. He said he was broke. "Look at him now," someone laughed, pointing straight at him. He laughed too, raising his glass, saying she helped, like it was all a joke. In that moment, I didn't feel anger, didn't feel pain, didn't feel anything breaking. Everything just went quiet inside me, like something essential had been switched off completely. I didn't walk in, didn't confront him, didn't interrupt the performance he was enjoying. I stood outside, set the tray down carefully, and pulled out my phone. I sent him a message. "I'm outside, nothing more, nothing less than the truth." 3 seconds later, his phone lit up, and he glanced down at the screen. He frowned slightly, then locked it, like the message didn't matter at all. Like I didn't matter anymore, like I had already been erased from his world. That was the moment I decided this would end, but not the way he expected. I didn't go in, didn't argue, didn't create a scene that night at all. I simply turned around and walked away, leaving everything exactly where it stood. 3 days later, it was his birthday, and he sent me an address with a message. "Maybe we can talk," he wrote, like there was still something left between us. I went anyway, not for him, but because I needed to finish what he started. The hall was bright, the music loud, people packed tightly around tables and drinks. Someone recognized me immediately, whispering, "That's her," followed by quiet laughter nearby. I walked in without stopping, and he saw me, froze for just a second. Then he smiled, like he was controlling the room, like nothing was out of place. "Emily," he said smoothly, "you came," as if he had expected this outcome. I nodded once. "I won't stay long," I said, placing the box onto the table. It was a simple gift box, nothing expensive, nothing that suggested effort or emotion. "You didn't have to," he said, already preparing for whatever he thought would come next. "I know," I answered, watching him carefully as the room grew quieter around us. He thought I would say something else, something emotional, something predictable for him. Everyone was watching now, phones already raised, waiting for something worth recording. I didn't look at them. I kept my eyes fixed only on him. "You said you were dying," I said, my voice low but carrying across the room. He froze. "What?" he asked, but the room had already started to shift. "You said you were sick?" "You said you couldn't handle it," I repeated calmly. People leaned closer, drawn in by the tension building between us without warning. "Emily, not here," he said quickly, trying to regain control of the situation. I nodded once. "Right here," I said, connecting my phone to the screen. No introduction, no explanation, just the first audio clip playing clearly across the room. His voice echoed, "If she thinks I'm sick, she won't ask questions." The second clip followed immediately, leaving no space for interruption or denial. 3 months. "I can get at least 50, his voice continued, steady and certain. The third came right after, sealing everything before he could even react properly. "She'll work harder if she thinks she's saving me," he said, without hesitation. The room changed instantly. Someone cursed. Someone stepped back. Someone stopped smiling completely. He rushed forward, shouting, "Turn that off," but I didn't move at all. "This isn't everything," I said, pulling up the bank records one by one. Transfers, dates, amounts, all displayed clearly across the screen for everyone to see. "That's her money," someone said aloud. "He used her," another voice followed immediately. Phones lifted higher now, capturing everything as the situation spiraled out of his control. "It's not like that," he said, but nobody was listening to him anymore. I played the final clip, the one that ended everything he had built. "She's dying anyway." "Might as well use it," his voice echoed through the silence. The room didn't go quiet, it emptied, like all the air had been pulled away. The girl beside him stepped back, like she had touched something contaminated and couldn't recover. Someone said, "You're sick," not as an insult, but as a final judgment. He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw fear replace control. I turned off the screen. "That's enough," I said, steady and without hesitation. "I'm not here to fight," I added, pausing just long enough for it to settle. "I just didn't want your version to be the only one," I finished quietly. I placed the documents on the table, medical records, dates, everything clearly verified. "I am dying," I said, but not the way he told all of you. No one spoke. Some lowered their phones. Some avoided looking at either of us. I looked at him one last time. "You don't have to pretend anymore," I said. He stood there, frozen, with no one stepping in to defend or support him. The same people who laughed earlier now stared at him like he was a stranger. I turned and walked out. No one stopped me. No one tried to call me back. Outside, the air was cold, but my hands were no longer shaking anymore. A week later, the video spread everywhere, cut, reposted, shared across every platform. His name trended, investors pulled out, accounts froze, and people said he was finished. I never watched it, never opened a single clip, never needed to see it again. The doctor told me the time was close, so I began organizing everything quietly. The room stayed silent. My phone stopped ringing as much as it used to. On the last day, I sat in the hospital hallway, sunlight warming the floor. I leaned back against the wall, closed my eyes for a moment, just breathing slowly. My phone vibrated once. An unknown number appeared, and I answered without thinking. It was him. His voice was low. "Emily, please," he said, barely holding together. I didn't respond. I let the silence stretch long enough for him to feel it. "Where are you?" he asked, like he still had the right to know that. I looked out the window at people passing by, living lives that continued forward. "I'm not where you left me anymore," I said, then ended the call. I deleted the number, letting the silence return as the sunlight rested on my hands. For the first time, I felt something clear, something steady, something entirely my own. This ending wasn't his, it wasn't theirs, it was something I chose and finally wrote.